welcome to 700 Club Canada. I'm so glad you joined me today. You know, there's a really big question we all ask. Is there purpose for my life? And sometimes when you face pain and suffering, you feel that God couldn't do anything with that. There's just no purpose to it. Well, I've got good news to you. Today, I've got a guest. Actually, she's a special friend of mine from when I was a little girl. And she has not only found greater purpose and joy in her life, but her story is going to impact you. Her book, Outside the Gate, is a true story of an orphan child separated from her brother and her mother at age 4 and forever lost to each other. And into the foster care system she went, where she experienced violence and cruelty. Well, that child is June Smith, and she's here to discuss her book today. June, welcome to 700 Club Canada.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, I could not put down your book. It caused me to cry, moved me. It's so well written. It also gave me laughter as you describe some of your life. But your book, Outside the Gate, you share this incredible story as a young orphan girl, and you survived, as you say, the foster care system in Ontario when there was tremendous abuse that occurred. Why did you write the book?
I wanted to be a voice for people who did not have a voice. I wanted to share light on darkness and remove its power. I was brought to great healing in my life, and I wanted to share that healing with other people who have suffered the way I have suffered and empower them to tell their story.
Oh, well, you have done that. Anyone who reads your book, June, is going to feel that the light that comes overcomes the darkness. Well, you were separated from your brother, Freddie. It's a very touching part of your story. You're placed in the Salvation Army orphanage in Toronto, which actually were some of your brighter years, and you experienced some safety and love there. But then you were put in the foster care system and eventually the Grandview School for Girls, and there was abuse and cruelty. How did the violence and cruelty impact your life, June?
I saw myself through the eyes of my abusers. And so I had tremendous self-loathing. I thought there was something terribly wrong with me. Separation from my family created a void. And I tried to fill that deep void with alcohol, prescription drugs, and inappropriate relations with other men. And this only increased my shame and brought me close to suicide many times. As a young mom, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and the symptoms of that disease played itself out in my life with deep, fathomless depression, rendering me almost dysfunctional, not being able to get out of my bed often, and not able to care for myself and for the people that I love very deeply. In the church, I always felt different. Everybody else seemed so together, and I thought, I tried so hard to be like them, but I couldn't measure up. So this is what the trauma did for me.
Well, you know, you said the word shame, and as I read your story, I understand. I can't imagine some of the situations that you were in. And at one point, you ran away, but the foster care worker really didn't represent you accurately. How did it feel at the time as a young girl? You're trying to escape this abuse, but you're not represented. You didn't have a voice in that situation, did you?
No. Yes, in those days when you stood before the court, even as a young teenager, we didn't have an advocate. So it was a very, a time of deep fear and terrified at the people that were looking after me, because the people that were to look after me were hurting me. And so you're never feeling safe, ever.
One part of your story that struck me when you tried to run away and get away from this unsafe environment, and a police officer showed you kindness. And there was interventions of God in your life, right? At
Oh, so
different
much.
times. Yeah,
Mm,
what is your take on that? As even as you were at the
mm.
girls' school and there was a lot of unhealthy abuse going on. Where was God's presence there?
It is always the grace of God was like, as I say, gold strands amongst the dark fabric of my life. Like the policeman that you mentioned that appeared to a young, lonely girl in Toronto. I was 16 years of age when he walked me home that night. And I had many graces that I share in my book of beautiful things that happened to me during all the course. I made friendships in the school and also was able to win a public speaking contest and talk about my house of tomorrow that God had built, my dream house. And so there were many things that happened to keep me. Jesus Christ was always there. I may not have been aware of it, but he was there.
You are so right. And that comes out in your book so clearly. What would you say to people? I mean, your story's not unlike the Indigenous children who
Mm.
suffered in schools across our nation. You never found your brother again. What would you say to those who have been impacted by such suffering?
Well, first of all, my heart aches for anyone that has had their family torn away from them and then to suffer abuse from the people that are supposed to be taking care of you. So I can only share that all through the years as I searched for my brother, and I never found Freddie. And we never understood because he wrote a letter when he was 18 years old asking to see me. And the Children's Aid Society said no. So I have never been able to find my own brother. What I would say to anyone that has suffered that much is share your story, open yourself up, and keep telling your story so that people that have gone through what you've gone through will find hope and also encourage them to tell their story.
Well, you have done it so well in this book. June shares so powerfully the key to healing and how she's been experienced the love of God. I can't thank you enough, June, for sharing this story. If you want to know more about June and how to get her book, go to 700club.ca and you'll find all the information there. Thank you so much, June. God bless you.
Thank you very much.